Street Fighter is easily one of the most popular fighting game franchises that you could ask anyone who know just a tiny bit about games and they will know who Ryu, Ken or Chun-Li are. It is the Super Mario fighting games basically that is celebrated by everyone when a new installment releases. This time it is no different, and unlike the previous installment Street Fighter V, this game's content and quality will prove to you that this franchise is still the king of this genre. Thanks to Capcom for trusting me with an early copy of the game, which helped me to put up the review just in time. You guys are the absolute best. The game is divided by 3 main modes. You have the War Tour mode, which is essentially the story mode for this game that will make you able to discover the streets of Metro City mainly, or you could also travel to other countries to meet up with your favorite characters to learn their battle styles or bond with them by giving them gifts or finishing their side quest. This mode is appealing for both newcomers and fans of the franchise who actually want to know more about the characters and how would they react to certain situations. The RPG mechanics are so well implemented, and the amount of customizations both for your aesthetics and your skills are left completely under your control to mess with. But the menus are a little difficult to navigate through at first, but nothing that you won't be getting used to, trust me. The second mode we have is the Battle Hub, which in my opinion, the most revolutionary lobby system ever made. It is separated from the private lobby, which I will be talking about briefly later on this video, but the focus right now is the Battle Hub, which makes you control the avatar you created and leveled up in the World Tour to communicate with other players through their avatars. Engage in avatar fights with your level and equipment, which creates a totally different experience than the traditional fights, or you could just sit there by the arcade cabinet and await someone to challenge you by playing with your favorite characters. The netcode is nothing short of amazing. I was able to pull off some execution heavy combos with Cammy in one bar with a Wi-Fi connection just fine, which is really surprising considering how some of my opponents are also living in the other side of the world. I don't know which kind of magic they used here, but Capcom, you nailed it. The third mode, which is the main thing, is the Fighting Ground. This mode is where the traditional fighting game is. It has the arcade mode, which is designed in a similar behavior as the classic Street Fighter games. You pick up your favorite character and choose difficulty as well as how many stages do you want to have, from 6 to 12 stages. The arcade mode will also provide you with little stories for the main characters to give you more context about their individual stories. And of course you have the practice mode, which has a brilliant training mode that has everything you need to learn this game. From frame data to a bar that shows the recovery of your moves free of DLC, by the way. You don't need to pay for any extra options to add to this mode because it really is a complete package. My favorite thing though, which may seem minor, is how you can reset the position by pressing the PS touch plus left to go to the left corner, right to go to the right corner, and down to go to the middle, and up to switch positions. Everything feels well thought in this mode, even down to the little stuff like that. You want to get used to a certain matchup? No problem. Just go to the menu, set the dummy to CPU on highest level, and watch the crazy stuff the CPU can pull off in an infinite match that helped me to react to a lot of situations in a real match. Next up under the practice mode is the tutorial mode. You have this large tutorial that teaches you from the first steps and most basic things anyone can learn in a fighting game to the most advanced situations that even someone who is a professional fighting game player found them very useful to tackle this game. And then you have the character guides. It just gives you a general idea on how to play a certain character without having to wait for someone to tell me how to use the basics of these characters on YouTube or external links. I think every fighting game should have this feature. And to tell you how important it is, as someone who never played a Street Fighter game seriously before, it helped me big time to choose my character, since this guide just tells you what's best for you depending on which type you want to play. In my case, I love to play offensive in fighting games, and this helped me to find the aggressive character I am looking for. So I settled for Cammy, all thanks to her amazing redesign and this guide that taught me the basics of her play. And lastly, under the practice menu, we have the beloved combo trials. You know me, I love my combos. They give you the knowledge and the blueprints for combos and how you should combo with a certain character. It acts as both a tutorial and a fun challenge at the same time. But in all honesty, I felt a little bit underwhelmed when I found out that it has no reward after completing these trials, no extra colors or outfit, just a title, and call it a day. And then you have the versus match. It's just what you would expect from a fighting game. You just select your character and just go at it in this 1v1 offline mode. The highlight of this though is how fast the rematches are. It is almost ridiculous and something that should be done in all fighting games, especially when we sit and play these games with our friends or in tournaments for a very long time. You can also have a team battle that acts similar to the 1v1 mode, but with picking multiple characters that changes per round, almost similar to that in a King of Fighters game. I found this mode to be its own niche fun, nothing crazy to talk about, but it is there. And then we have extreme battles. They are hilarious and I would love to see a tournament set only for extreme battles for the laughs. It really reminded me of the good old days during Soul Calibur 2 and 3 days where fighting games were all about having fun first. And I can see myself revisiting this mode every now and then. My favorite one though is when you set the rules to heaven and hell where various effects occur randomly and you see the game go absolutely crazy on your screen. And now we get to the most important part, which is the gameplay and character roster. The character roster might seem underwhelming in terms of numbers, but trust me, with how varied and different everyone plays from each other, I really did not mind it, and every single design is breathtaking. And you can see the love poured into the game by just looking at how gorgeous the characters are. Maybe the only one character that I have a gripe with his design is Ryu. For some reason he looks way different, and not only because of the beard, I just can't see Ryu in him when I look at him at first. But he still look cool though. In general, each character represents the place they come from and their fighting style just perfectly. Street Fighter 6 gameplay focuses more on offense than ever, is the direction the majority of the modern fighting games is going towards. You have the drive rush mechanic that is used to close the gap between you and your opponent, as well as using it to extend your combos by spending your drive gauge. It made this mechanic a welcome addition to the aggressive playstyle. Also, separated the EX moves now called overdrives from the supers, which made combos looks very cool and can let you do overdrives with supers in just one combo. It is simply addicting to use, and it is what sold the gameplay for me. The other mechanic that is used to counter the opponent's pressure is called Drive Impact. It is an armor move that can counter your opponent during their attack. Not the biggest fan, but it adds so much pressure and tension to the game, which will make you be always on your toes during the match. It is slow, and after a while, you'll get used to countering it by jumping over it, or using a drive impact right after you notice your opponent using it. Throws can bypass it as well. It is spend your drive gauge, so you will have to be careful when you're in a burnout state, since you will lose the ability to use it or use overdrive moves. This burnout mechanic is what balanced all of this for me, and it showed to me how well thought the gameplay is. The modern controls are basically shortcut inputs that makes it easier to do certain moves like fireball or supers without tearing your joints' skin. You can also combo with limited moves that you have, but don't expect to get all creative since you're gonna lose a lot of moves, and on the process, a lot of combos. But I highly recommend this control for people who just want to get over the execution barrier for now, but it really don't replace anything. So yeah, this game added too many new things while keeping the Street Fighter feel and core mechanics, which is a balance that is so difficult to achieve, but they have done it regardless. If you're a veteran Street Fighter player, you're going to feel right at home, but still have a fresh experience of course. And if you're a newcomer, you won't be overwhelmed since the game feels great to control, with the mechanics being easy to understand, you won't feel overwhelmed at all. Let's talk about the art style and the graphics here. Street Fighter 6 isn't the best looking fighting game just for its graphics alone, but it's a game that cared too much for its art by creating a hybrid style that mixes both photorealistic image and anime style together. It just stands out from everything else in the market at the moment. The stages are beautifully designed and they are very pleasant to look at. Same thing for the characters, which I mentioned previously. Everyone's designed with care and a clear vision with how they want to portray these characters. Sadly, I can't say the same about the World Tour mode in terms of the graphics or the art style. The faces looks flat due to the poor lighting. Even for the main characters, that looks amazing in the arcade modes. Sometimes they even look creepy with how the lighting makes the eyes looks weird. The game supports both resolution mode and action mode. The resolution option will make the game run at native 4K with 60 FPS in the arcade mode, but 30 FPS in the World Tour. Action mode is probably just made for the World Tour to be at 60 FPS, but it worked as a resolution nerf for the arcade mode, since that mode maintained its 60 FPS regardless of the option you choose. The game also supports VRR for screens that have it, which will reduce the input latency to a very noticeable amount, and made the game even more responsive and fun to play. The only downside though is that it will turn off the VSync, which might cause an occasional screen tearing, but you won't notice that during the gameplay. In conclusion, Street Fighter 6 is a game that brought back the genre to its golden era, as if it's the 90s all over again, and will be setting a very good example for the other games to come. It is a game that is made with care and love for the franchise and its legacy. It is a complete package that kept every player in consideration, from casuals to pro gamers. And I would usually not say this about a fighting game, but I really recommend this game not only for fighting game players, but also for every single gamer out there. For me who played Tekken and Soul Calibur as his competitive games for over 17 years to say this now, it shows to you how special this game is, and I'm very excited to learn this game with everyone.